Hi guys, today I'll be telling you about 4 types of braids type you can do with your hair to style it a little bit. This is an easy way to make any easy classic hairstyle into something a little bit more stylish and, a bit. Hope you like it, and if needed, give some comments. I'm gonna start with the classic braid just to have some bases. So what you'll need to do is to divide all your hair into 3 pieces. Make sure that you've brushed them so it will be easier to work with afterwards. Nothing very important there, just try to make your 3 pieces into equal size. And then what you want to do is take one of the further parts through the outside toward the inside. So this one will go in the middle of the 2 others. And since I've started with the one the more on the left, then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the one the further on the right, like that. And then it's just working downward your braid in the same way. It's pretty easy and simple, as you can see. And this gives you the very classical braid. The second braid is the fishtail. Its name comes from the looks it gives. I like it because even if you don't have very long hair, it's a good option, and it's very different from the others in terms of results. It's pretty basic once you get around it, and it is something more fancy. I like it pretty much. So now what we're gonna do, instead of separating your hairs in 3 parts, we only need 2. Once you have your 2 pieces, what you want to do is take a little bit of one of these pieces, bring it around the original part, and add it to your second part. It's easier once I show you. So I'm gonna start by taking a little bit piece of this part of my hair, so rather on the outside, and pull it around it, sort of over it, and add it to my second section of hair. Then, as you can see, I took a rather small part of hair, so I'm going to do the same here with about equivalent piece of hair. It's going to be important to give a nice final result. So around, over, and add it to your second braid all the time. And you keep on going like that toward the end of your hair. It's gonna come together, don't worry. Again, it's important that you keep hair pieces of equal size, because what we could call the scales of your fishtail are gonna look very weird if they're not. So really try to keep them similar. This is the final result. I hope you like it and that my instructions were clear. Again, you can play with it using bigger or smaller pieces of hair that you tug around each side. As you can see, it's very different from the others, and I like it a lot. Let's move on to the next one. The French braid is kind of the same idea in the way that we're gonna use little pieces of hair that we're gonna add to our braid along the way. So it gives you a very fine-touched finishing to your braid. It's a little bit more difficult, but the result is really nice. You can do it with all your hair, but just to make it easier, I'm only gonna do it with a part of my hairs. Okay, so what you want to do at first is to select your hair and again divide it into 3 parts. So just like the classical braid. Again, don't take all your hair this time. You want to start with just a part of it, a portion of it. What I usually do is, in order to make them stand out from the rest of my hair, I do one round with just these hairs, so just like a classical braid. I'm having a little bit of hard time there because I'm working without a mirror, so it's not really easy, but I'll get there, I promise. So once you did that, when you go back with the first one that you moved around, what you want to do is, instead of leaving him by himself, you want to add a little bit of hair. So I'm going to take some of the one in the front and pull them over to add them to that piece of hair that I just pulled back in the middle in my classical braid, I would say. And then again, pulling the one from the outside, just like in a classical braid, basically, over and adding some, this time, hairs coming from the back of my head, because that would be weird if not. Just like in the fishtail, try to keep adding pieces of hair that are about the same size. It will give a better result to your hairstyle, but you can use large ones or small ones depending on what you want to have at the finish point. Once you're there, you can keep going with adding hair from each side, but since I only want to show you the idea and don't want to go any further, one way to tweak it a little is just to add from one side. So see here, I can add a little bit from the hair from the front, and just the next time when I pull my piece of hair, which is currently in the back, toward the middle, I'm not gonna add any hair and just go with sort of a classical braid. So that's a way to change it a little and to adapt to the style you want to have in the end. Since again you have pretty much everything here, I'm gonna finish in a classical braid. Once you have the bread finished, you can pull on the side of it to spread it a little. If, like me, you don't have a lot of hair on your scalp, that's a good way to give a little bit more volume to it. So just pull gently from the top down, and there you go. I hope you can see the result. So it's a little bit messy, but you can see that you've got hair adding from one side and the other toward the central braid. As the result wasn't really great, I made it again facing a mirror. So here's the result. I think it's a bit more like proper to show you, and you can see again the hairs pulling into the braid from one side and the other. It's a very nice style, I feel. I hope you like it too. The last braid I'm going to tell you about is the Dutch one. It's basically the same thing as the French braid, but instead of doing it pulling hair over, you're going to do it going under. this is going to change the result as your braid is going to be more on the top of your head and more visible while still sticking to your head. So just like the first one, we're gonna use a piece of our hair to start with and divide it into 3 more or less equal sections. Once you did that, just start as a classical braid, so not over this time, like in the classical actually, but going under. So here I go in the middle, but going under the piece of hair which was in the middle. So yeah, that's making it a little bit more difficult since usually you're used to go over or under, and so one is easier than the other. Once you did that, you're gonna keep going that way, but just like with the French braid, you're gonna add a little piece of hair to make it more fancy. Again, add from the front and from the back of your braid, depending on the look you want to give. You could do that just adding from the front or from the back, just like I did with the French braid. It's up to you. Just keep in mind that, again, your sections, the sections of hair you are adding, should remain about the same size all the way down. One quick tip to have in mind: if you want your braid to go toward the back of your head when you're making it, don't pull on your hair toward the front, because the hair is going to settle in that way and it's going to be impossible to make it look nice pulling it backward afterwards. I think there is enough done here for you to get the idea of how it works, so I'm just gonna finish it as a regular braid, but again, I'll keep doing it going under the central piece of hair, because if you're changing now, it's gonna look weird, so just keep going under and not over. Here's the results. As you can see, the braid is very visible on top of my head, but it is close to my skull, and as I did before, I'm going to pull on the outside just to give it a little more volume and make it less strict as well. Do it gently, because if you pull one piece of hair totally away, then you're gonna have to start over again. Here's a little close-up of the result. I hope you like it and that my instructions were clear. Leave some comments if not, and have a good day. Bye guys!